dive into authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that uplift and inspire us, from personal growth to social change. So grab your teacup and get ready to join the conversation.
Again, Diddy had hit her.
I know me. I crack my sunflower seeds while I'm sipping my tea. What type of music do you think she wrote while with Diddy? Do you think it was about freaking off? Or do you think it was about her being endlessly in love with Diddy? Let me know. Drop that T in the chat and let me know whether or not you think while with Diddy, Cassie wrote about freak offs or her love affair for Diddy. With Diddy. Let me know, sippers.
Pulled her hair, pulled Cassie's hair, I should say, and that Carrie had told Ruben, the security guard, to do something, and that essentially Ruben didn't do anything to kind of stop this incident from happening. She said after this incident happened that Cassie and both Carrie left. They hid over near a neighbor's house, kind of under the stairs, as Ruben and Diddy were essentially looking for the both of them together. And she said that they waited and hid for about 20 or 30 minutes during this incident, but that Cassie went back to the home afterwards. Then they were called.
Let me guess. You're thinking about going to therapy. And as a therapist myself, of course I'm going to say that's a great idea. But for
2013 incident in Jamaica where they were on vacation. It was with Carrie, Cassie, Carrie's friends, and then Diddy joined about, I think, midway through the trip. And that all of a sudden, Carrie heard Cassie screaming, in a terrifying scream at that, and said that Diddy was essentially mad because Cassie was taking too long in the bathroom. And that's the reason that he had allegedly drugged her by her hair and pushed her to the point that she had hit her head. Carrie said that Cassie didn't move after she had fell, that she went into a fetal position, that Carrie even thought at one point that Cassie was just knocked out because she just wasn't moving. Then all of a sudden, Carrie and Diddy get into a verbal argument. And during this, Cassie just ran off and she ran into this wooded area. And then Carrie ended up getting on a golf cart. She found Cassie and the two pretty much crouched together in a ditch, essentially hiding away from Diddy. She says after this incident, Cassie didn't receive any type of medical attention and that they just went back to the house that they had rented during this trip together. Those were just some of the instances that Carrie had recalled throughout her friendship of just kind of witnessing this type of physical assault and physical abuse from Diddy. But she said those were the two incidents that stood out to her the most. Then we kind of get into March 6th of 2016, and we all know that date very well because that was after the Intercontinental Hotel incident, something that we are all very familiar with. Carrie just remembers Cassie coming back home. She had that hoodie on that we all saw from that surveillance video. She had dropped her bags and essentially just didn't say anything. But when she had pulled her hoodie back, when she, being Cassie, pulled her hoodie back, she had a black eye. Then Carrie said about 30 minutes later, Diddy came over with a hammer, which I thought was very kind of stunning to say. And while Carrie was terrified that Diddy was kind of hammering and yelling and banging on this door, that Cassie was just numb. And this is one part that I wrote down that really kind of stunned me that Carrie had said on the witness stand. She says she, being Carrie, said, "I don't think she cared if he had killed her." And I think that was just kind of a startling statement to kind of, for her to kind of say while on the witness stand today, because we all have seen that surveillance video so many times. But for Carrie, who was Cassie's best friend at the time, to say that she didn't care if Diddy would kill her, I think that was just kind of a very big sticking point during her direct examination. Carrie said after this incident that Carrie called Christina Coram, that being Diddy's like head assistant, and then D-Rock, who we all know now to be one of Diddy's security guards, after this. Eventually, Diddy had left. He stopped with the whole hammer, yelling and banging on the door because he wasn't able to get into the apartment, so he eventually left. Another interesting point was that the police came over. They being the police, allegedly pushed Carrie into a wall, asked for her ID. Carrie told Christina Coram that the police were coming over. And I thought this was interesting because Carrie said that she didn't call the police, but Cassie, during her testimony, believed that Carrie did call the police during this incident. But according to Carrie's testimony today, police came over essentially because of the noise, not because anyone had called them specifically. And so we saw some text exhibits between Carrie and Christina Coram where Carrie had wrote, "I'm sorry, I missed your call. I'm not used to this SHIT."
That is straight out of a horror movie. Someone banging at your door with a hammer. That is straight out of a horror movie. I would have definitely called the police. I don't give a damn who it was. I'm calling the police. That is very, very terrifyingly scary for someone to be banging at your front door, your door, with a hammer. Call the police.
She said she was looking for someone to say the wrong thing so she could call it domestic violence, she being one of the investigators, one of the detectives. And then she also wrote to Christina Coram, "Cash just asked me to send you that," which I thought was interesting, kind of verifying that Cassie wasn't one to go to the police, or even if the police were to respond, that Cassie would still kind of cover for her then boyfriend at the time. And that Carrie, from her perspective, said she encouraged Cassie to talk to police, that Cassie didn't want to talk to police. And so there are times where throughout their friendship.
And at that point, as a friend, what can you do? What can you do as a friend? Now you done went numb to your friend, numb to being abused. Now you done went numb to it. Care, but if you don't care, then what level of care can I give? Because no matter what I do, if you're not even willing to, stand up for yourself even a little bit, where's this gonna go? Now I'm a target because I'm calling the fucking police for you. See how that works?
That Carrie would tell Cassie to leave Diddy, that he controlled her job, her career, her car, just everything that he had given to her throughout this relationship together was part of the reason that Cassie had stayed. But Carrie had said that really Cassie didn't have a lot of other close friends beyond Carrie and Diddy's employees, because even when Cassie was on the stand, she had said that Diddy's staff was like family to her, and it was pretty much a big loss when everything had went down. But for the most part, Cassie herself still.
That's why your nerves are deteriorating and you can't walk without feeling pain. Maybe you don't know this, but all the burning, numbness, and tingling.
The material things than their actual physical life.
Kind of not like how it used to be or anything like that.
That's the law.
Then they get to
Not
2018,
your life.
and this is where kind of the friendship breakup really kind of kicks into gear. Carrie had said that she was at Cassie's house in the Hollywood Hills when Diddy assaulted her. Cassie at this point locked herself in a bathroom. Diddy had come over unannounced, and that Diddy had choked Carrie and boomeranged a wooden.
I mean, who knows? Cassie could have played this up into the point where she felt like, I think I may have enough to get out of this and get away alive and still get mine on the back end. Who knows how, what she was really thinking, because Cassie said herself that she masterminded a lot of the fuckery that her and Diddy, coerced in. So Who knows? Cassie might have let shit build up until she knew when to scooty boo and then, do what she did, which was file a lawsuit, a winning lawsuit that got her $20 million. Okay. How much would you put up with if you were scheming on the back end to sue a rich guy and win millions of dollars? What would be your threshold of level of leaving? Where would your bar sit? For Cassie, it was a lot. A lot.
Hanger at Carrie, and it hit Carrie right in the right ear because Diddy was accusing Cassie of cheating on him. And so she had told one of Diddy's assistants, an assistant named Ryan, that Diddy was acting crazy. Then we see an exhibit photo of Ryan. Carrie says during this entire incident that she did get a concussion. She became dizzy. She was vomiting after this incident, and that she actually went to urgent care after this.
And Cassie don't give no damn about her friends, her family. She don't give a fuck who falls in the wake of Diddy's wrath behind fucking with her. He done damn near killed her friend, and she still ain't left at that time.
So this is where things just weren't the same ever for Cassie and Carrie specifically. That Carrie went to a lawyer, and that this lawyer was going to reach out to Diddy about the assault, and that Carrie was actually going to file a lawsuit around this time, this being in 2018. But instead of filing this lawsuit, everything was kind of underhanded, where Cassie kind of played the middleman, where it's like, if you don't go file this lawsuit, we'll just give you a settlement.
Carrie said, you only got one time to play with my life, and it's over. Okay, I'm not building it up to $20 million. I'm finna hit it right now, hit it hard, get what I can get out of your stall, and get the fuck on. I like Carrie. I like her.
Settlement payout. That payout was for $30,000. And all Carrie had to do was sign an NDA in return. And so Carrie had said that this conversation she had had with Cassie went down at a pizza parlor or some type of pizza restaurant over in California, and that Cassie had told Carrie essentially that she was milking the assault. And what ended up happening was that Carrie felt that Cassie didn't have her back in this type of situation. Carrie and
but then Carrie, wait a minute, Cassie turns around a year or so, however long later, to whenever she filed her lawsuit, to 2020, or threatened him with a lawsuit like 2021, whenever she did that. How you gonna judge her for doing it and you did it too? It just took your dumb ass longer to sue him. Okay.
Ended up just taking the $30,000. She signed the NDA, and she hasn't spoken to either Cassie or Diddy since, because she felt like Cassie didn't have her back. And the summary of the direct examination was there's no pending lawsuits now.
Yeah, look, this is another example of what I think they're doing very well with Cassandra Ventura, who is the star witness in this case, alleged victim number one. Before they even called her to the stand, they had two supporting.
Be careful, babies. Coming out of that goddamn car. I know we want the scoopy, but be careful before you catch something in there with Diddy in there. You them in there coughing and shit. Ain't no telling what's flying out their mouth. And I'm just being real. Diddy and them just slept with everybody at the party. And goddamn it. Everybody ain't lying on Diddy and them. Spreading all types of diseases around. Be careful. They might have the Corona 2000 in that courtroom.
Witnesses, the hotel employee from the 2016 event, a male performer who was hired or allegedly hired to have sex with Cassandra Ventura. You had the 2016 tape that was introduced to support her credibility before she took the stand. After she takes the stand, now you have Dawn Richard and you have Carrie Moore, who are further seemingly trying to corroborate Cassandra Ventura's testimony. But what I think is interesting about Ms. Morgan is she's talking in a way where it supports the prosecution's argument of a pattern of abuse of women, right? It's not just one woman for the racketeering and sex trafficking charges. This is ongoing. This is people, this pattern of illegal activity that there are people who were there, witnessed it, supports Ventura's claims. So she's a key witness, and I understand exactly why she was called by the prosecution. But
Janet, when's
obviously, the defense is not going to take this lying down. They too had an opportunity to cross-examine Carrie Moore. What was it like? Was it the same intense questioning as you described of Dawn Richard?
Not necessarily. So Mark Agnifilo was handling this questioning. So this is the first time we've seen him actually question a witness since trial has started. It was pretty interesting to kind of see him in action. He actually kind of was cracking a little bit of jokes with Carrie Morgan at the beginning, mainly just about him wanting to finish the questions up pretty quick. Knows that she wants to be done with her subpoena and he says that, and then the cross-examination takes longer than just a few questions. And so thank you so much, Mark Agnifilo. But one thing I thought that was interesting that he did during the cross-examination was he actually kind of took it back a little bit and asked her about Dawn Richard, which I was like, kind of, where is this going? Why is he asking about Dawn Richard when it's Carrie Morgan testifying? And so Mark Agnifilo started off with a photo of Dawn Richard, Kalina Harper, and Cassie Ventura over at that Central Park Festival. And I was like, why is he showing this to Carrie Morgan? And me speculating a little bit, I think they were trying to kind of introduce this photo and bring this exhibit photo in front of the jury because while Dawn was on the stand, she had always said that she's always with Cassie. She's seen she's seen Cassie and Diddy a number of different times. But then Carrie Morgan, who's been her best friend for 17 years, says she didn't know who anybody in the picture was beyond just Cassie. And so I think that was kind of a point that they were trying to a little bit discredit Dawn Richard's testimony there. But then Mark Agnifilo was asking about how long Carrie and Cassie had known each other. They had met since high school. Mark Agnifilo brings up Ryan Leslie. That was Cassie's boyfriend before she was with Diddy. He's a music producer. And from Carrie's perspective, they began dating around 2004, and they seemed pretty serious. But then they brought it back to how often did Carrie see Cassie and Diddy together. And she said, she being Carrie, said she saw them a few times per month, that she would see Diddy and Cassie together at homes. They traveled together. Then the defense brings up Burning Man again, and I keep bringing up Burning Man. The defense keeps bringing up Burning Man, and apparently this was something that Cassie and Diddy did together. It was kind of like their little tradition of going to this music festival out in the desert together, and so they brought that back up. And one thing that I thought Mark Agnifilo did, which was also pretty interesting too, was asked Carrie if Cassie was jealous of Kim Porter, and Carrie says that she was, again, something that Cassie had admitted to while she was testifying too, because Carrie said that Cassie was jealous of Kim Porter again being the mother of some of Diddy's children, that Cassie was jealous because she could never go to the New Year's Eve parties, and I guess that must have been a big family gathering between all of those families, and Cassie essentially wasn't allowed to go to that type of thing. So then the defense asked Carrie about who was paying for the studio time, because they were always in the studio, and Carrie said, I guess the label, and the label being Bad Boy. The defense asked if Diddy put Cassie into the studio with other artists like Kid Cudi and Lil Wayne, and then Carrie was like, I never said Lil Wayne. And then I think the defense was just kind of trying to throw it out there that because of Diddy, Cassie was able to work with like these big names such as Kid Cudi, who's been mentioned a number of times, Lil Wayne. Carrie said that she also remembers Cassie working with French Montana, Too Short. All of these artists were in the studio with Cassie. Then the defense asked about Diddy's jealousy.
Girl, Cassie was in there with Too Short and Lil Wayne now. Girl, shit. Now we know how Too Short and Lil Wayne them get down at the freak off. So, not for nothing, girl. Y'all, Cassie's husband and kissed everybody at the party. Then kiss everybody at the party. Girl, ain't no telling what really was going on. Okay, Too Short is in the scene with Cassie and Diddy. Girl, please. They know they get down all the way to the ground with the bullshit. So nothing, y'all. Too Short. Now look at Cassie and listen to Too Short. And Cassie can seemingly believe that Diddy cared about her. Why she wasn't in the studio with Usher, making a song with Usher or some goddamn body. Too Short. Girl gone.
Jealousy, and that Carrie kind of always saw the drama play out. Then she was asked about Chris Brown, another celebrity name that was mentioned a couple times during this trial, where the defense asked about Chris Brown and that Diddy was jealous of Cassie dancing on Chris Brown, and that Carrie says she actually doesn't remember this whole entire incident happening, because I think this incident with the Chris Brown dancing was like 2013, so what, 12 years ago now at this point. And so then that's when we get to another big celebrity's name, that was Michael B. Jordan. And she was asked, Carrie was asked about the movie shoot over at Honey 3 that was taking place in South Africa. She was asked about Cassie essentially blocking people, including Diddy, a time where Cassie and Diddy were not together, according to Cassie's perspective, that Cassie just was blocking him. She wanted him out of her mind while she was shooting this movie, because they brought back Gina into this whole situation. I'll get there in just a second. But Carrie kind of confirmed that Cassie and Michael B. Jordan were just speaking to one another, that they weren't dating, that they weren't intimate, that they weren't like this more than thing that Diddy himself kind of made it out to be, because essentially that was a big argument between Diddy and Cassie, was just that Diddy felt like Cassie was cheating on him with Michael B. Jordan, or at least pursuing Michael B. Jordan in a romantic fashion.
And, Michael B. Jordan has become one of America's sweetheart, actors, kind of like a Denzel coming down through here for, Hollywood. And if he was somewhere canoodling with Cassie, he done kissed every nigga at the party. Okay, he done kissed every nigga at the party. And he might want to go get his mouth checked out for the herpes. Period. Because she testified that she kept a mouth full of herpes sores. So, yeah, that's what that could potentially be there. Why?
Fashion. Then Carrie was asked if she saw Cassie doing drugs in South Africa, and Carrie said that she didn't see Cassie doing drugs in South Africa. And then again, the defense trying to kind of confirm whether or not that Cassie and Michael B. Jordan were together. I thought that was just a kind of a weird moment. It's just like she already said that they weren't together, but the defense kept bringing it up a little bit there. Then they segued into Gina, and that Carrie confirmed Gina was kind of a big problem. And this was another point. She was saying that he was having a full-blown relationship with this little girl. And so the defense there had to be like, was this girl of age? And so that was kind of a whole moment where like they were kind of equating Gina to being a little girl, because Gina was much younger than Cassie and Carrie at the time, but still the defense had to verify like, oh, this is not a minor we're talking about, this was still an adult woman by law. But that Carrie essentially called Gina a little girl.
And please don't get me wrong, I take it as I'm hearing it, and I give it as I feel it. Cassie was Diddy's hooker. She was his prostitute, his lady of the night. Okay. And he was essentially unleashing her on Hollywood. She done slept with everybody on Craigslist, Backpage, and wherever else you could find somebody to sleep with that's willing to do it for some money. And they frolicking, they orgying, they everything that you can't even think of. And then when her and Diddy get into a spat, and she feels the courage to walk away. Now she's sitting next to Michael B. Jordan and everybody else and all of this shit with her mouth full of herpes sores. He unleashed his hooker on Hollywood. And if I was y'all, I'd be careful and go get tested. Because we've already also heard her testify that nobody got tested. Nobody got tested. So if you had unprotected sex with Cassie, you could potentially have whatever sexually transmitted diseases they carry.
Wouldn't go away. And then one thing that was kind of just a utterance, I will say, is that Carrie said that Gina actually got pregnant. And so don't want to necessarily confirm the father of this child was Diddy.
This is the pink salt recipe that took me from 179 to 126 in just weeks. You know what the best
child was Diddy's or anything like that, but apparently this was something that was just kind of thrown out there. It wasn't really kind of delved into or anything like that, but just something Carrie threw out while she was under cross-examination by the defense. Then Carrie was asked whether or not there were times that Cassie wanted Carrie to cover for her, and Carrie says she doesn't remember. Then they get to the whole incident where Diddy was allegedly banging on this door with the hammer, and that no one took photos of the door, that police didn't show up till hours later, because this was after the whole hotel incident. And police asked Carrie what all had happened. Carrie said she wasn't at the hotel when Diddy had physically assaulted.
How can we also tie Michael B. Jordan to Diddy? Didn't they also share Lori Harvey, Steve Harvey's stepdaughter, in the same capacity of intimately? So if I was America's new up and coming Denzel sweetheart, Michael B. Jordan, I would be somewhere trying to get tested. Go get tested. Everybody that has came in contact with intimately, one direct way or the other, I would go get tested.
Cassie, so she didn't say what happened there. Carrie confirmed again that she didn't call the cops. The cops had come because of all the noise that was going on. And she was asked again about her text messages with Christina Quorum, again, that being one of Diddy's head assistants. And Carrie referred, all these C's, all these K's, sorry about that. But Carrie confirmed that Christina was like the right hand of Diddy, and that she was always nice and that she always tried to help, something that I feel like the defense will definitely possibly use later on a little bit. Then she was asked a little bit about her relationship with Diddy's employees, again, naming names like Christina Quorum, D-Rock, Derek Roche as well, too, that they were all friends. And Carrie Morgan had talked about a person named Mia who we expect to be testifying. And Carrie had said that Mia had a ton of energy, something that you kind of have stamina to work with Sean Combs. And so we got a little bit about that there. Then she was asked about the 2018 incident where she was hit with the wooden hanger, and that Carrie got a concussion. And then the defense was asking her why she stopped being friends with Cassie. Carrie says that Cassie wasn't supportive of Carrie after Diddy had hit her. Carrie says that Cassie never even reached out to her after this incident. They were essentially verifying that the $30,000 didn't come from Cassie herself, that essentially Cassie was the middleman. And again, that Carrie says Cassie offered money to sign the NDA so Carrie wouldn't publicly speak about this. And the defense asked why she's not friends with Cassie if Cassie didn't specifically harm her, something that they were kind of going on and on about as far as her cross-examination goes today. And Carrie says it was simply just because Cassie didn't reach out to her even after the fact. Later on, we were shown some more exhibit photos, those being of Carrie, Cassie, and a woman named Bonna together. Bonna somebody who had also filed a civil claim against Diddy, somebody that we possibly expect to be testifying for the government in this case, but that's not 100% sure just yet. The defense, Diddy's attorneys, were asking Carrie if Carrie, Cassie, and Diddy all did drugs together. Carrie said yes, something that she had answered to under direct. The defense asked if there was times that Diddy wanted Cassie off drugs, and Carrie confirmed yes, that Diddy actually sent Cassie away to Mexico to get some type of treatment for this. And they were asked if Bonna brought drugs to Cassie, and Carrie did kind of confirm that. Then we saw an exhibit photo, this one a group photo. I couldn't tell if it was a selfie or just someone taking the, everyone was just super close together, but Carrie kind of verified some of the people that were in there, like Eli Maroon, Rob Holiday, Keke Palmer, Deontay Nash, a person named Luba, Bonna, and Cassie were all in this photo together. And I think the defense was trying to kind of get at, you guys did all these things together. You guys were best friends together. You got opportunities to go to places maybe you wouldn't have if your best friend wasn't dating a big giant mogul at this time frame. And so the defense was asking, did you guys have a lot of fun? And Carrie verified yes. Was it exciting for the wrong reasons? And Carrie verified yes. And Carrie had also said, the defense asked Carrie, you love some of them being the people that she's no longer friends with, but that she knew during her time being around Cassie, being around Diddy. And she said yes. We saw, again, another photo, that being the Burning Man photo with Lucas White, Dallas Austin, Diddy, Carrie, all in Burning Man together. The defense asking her, did you have fun? She said yes. And she was asked again, from your perspective.
Thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, thanks for watching. Remember to show your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing. It's a blessing. Keep your teacups filled and ready for my next upload. Until then, stay inspired and remember, always stay dipping. It's authentic conversations about ourselves and our community, exploring topics that